Hey everybody, it's Jessica DeMassa with WTF Health. What's the future health? I am talking to the who's who of health tech and healthcare innovation. And today we've got big news from Bayer and OneDrop. They are here to announce the launch of their first ever co-developed digital product, which is aimed at preventing cardiovascular disease. So here to tell us all about this, which is a big deal. It came out of that partnership that Bayer announced with OneDrop last summer. We've got Jeanne. She is the CIO and head of digital and commercial innovation, and Jeff Dachis, he is the CEO and founder of OneDrop. So hello, welcome to both of you.
Hey Jess, thanks.
Hello.
Oh my gosh, so this is very exciting to me for a number of reasons. First of all, this is the first time I've gotten to speak with both of you, both the Bayer and the OneDrop side of the team here. So we want to find out a lot about the partnership and the working relationship there, because I do feel like it is a shining star of an example of a partnership between a health tech company and a life sciences pharma company. So I want to hear about that. But before we do, or perhaps because of, let's talk about this cardiovascular disease prevention module that's just been launched. Jeff, kick us off here. Talk about how this has really been indicative of the partnership that you've got with Bayer, how this is blowing out OneDrop into a brand new therapeutic area, and what it kind of means in terms of your solution as it's continuing to grow and it's continuing to build its data set.
Great. Thanks, Jess, and hi, Jeanne. This module is really focused on helping everyone manage and reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease among all the members by changing sort of key behaviors that lead to clinical outcomes. So A1C, blood pressure, weight reduction. And really, this is the first co-developed digital product to emerge from the collaboration. So we're super excited about it. This digital first prevention module, I think for us at least, provides a holistic set of digital tools and coaching. And it places any OneDrop member who signs up for it on a healthier path by personalizing their care, by gathering their data and providing actionable insights, all in the OneDrop user-friendly mobile experience. And really, our goal is to reduce the burden of cardiovascular disease by removing barriers to care, increasing access to critical health information, all while lowering the cost for employers and health plans.
And this has really been the goal, like all along, not only for OneDrop, but also with this relationship that you've had with Bayer. And I'm wondering if we could take a little walk down memory lane here to like just about a year ago when you guys really announced, and the announcement last year was the $98+ million deal that included some funding, and it also included some co-development plans. So this was something that you guys said a year ago you were going to set out to do, and here we are now. We're checking something off the list. Jeanne, talk to me, I guess, about this and what this means for Bayer. Put this into context for Bayer for me.
So I don't know if you realize, because I'm also extremely happy about how it went. We signed that deal end of August last year.
Yeah. And
with also the special circumstances we know about, with us Europeans not really being able to fly to the US and everything. So our teams work together in a remote setting, trying to also communicate from the pharma world to the digital world. And they actually made it. And it started with the reflection on how can you help people who have a cardiovascular condition to really manage this on a day-to-day basis. It's like, should not ignore it because it's not going to make it better, but it should not invade your life either. You don't need to go out. You don't need to go to the hospital or seek special attention or this. You've got that more or less in your pocket to help you, step by step, getting better and changing your behavior. Also is behind, and that's the very sense of the collaboration, behind that strong link between the digital technology and the medical understanding and the scientific understanding. It should not be painful or cumbersome or invasive. The understanding of the disease, the understanding of the progression and how you can change it by modifying some parameters, it's buried into the system. it's not patronizing. It's not pharma. We tend to do that a bit. It's not, making people feel less. It's giving them the possibility to do more.
Yeah.
And I think it's really the essence of that. And of course, because we are coming from different worlds, it was a bit complicated in the beginning, but now we are really coming to the point where we are able to have our teams really communicate better, work better together, and develop this common vision.
Yeah. The Bayer team's been
what would you add to that? Like, I want to hear your side of this as well.
Well, this partnership is really demonstrating the value of combining sort of the superior clinical expertise of a major pharma player like Bayer with the digital innovation and robust data, experience that OneDrop brings to the table. And, I've been so impressed with the Bayer team all the way from, call it the deal teams, as we worked virtually through the pandemic to work, to get this transaction done. And then now virtually, through the co-development exercise to get this first, effort launched. It really demonstrates the value of bringing together a diverse set of skills to accelerate innovation in prevention tools for consumers. This launch is a super important milestone, in our joint endeavor to make integrated care a transformative solution for everybody.
I mean, let's not minimize the fact that truly, this partnership has been longstanding. It goes even past, but back before this last deal a year ago. Bayer's been invested in OneDrop almost all along the way. But I think what's very interesting about this is that this is like I said at the beginning, I feel like this is a very unusual example of a partnership between a health tech company and an incumbent pharmaceutical company because of the fact that you guys have been really successful. Like, I can think of a number of examples and some that have achieved some success and others that have not at all. And I think that even on the success side, you guys have really demonstrated in terms of scale and scope what's possible. So I'm hoping, Jeff, can you say a little bit more about like what it is about, like, I think this working relationship that you guys have with Bayer that really, that really takes the conversation that you guys are having and takes it away from, okay, let's just pilot this. Okay, let's think tiny, into like this whole different, the way that I've heard both of you speak about the partnership is like the sky's the limit. And the terms around the deal last summer, I feel like underscored that. So what do you feel, Jeff, in terms of like working with Bayer and what is it about their strategy in terms of this, their commitment to integrated care, their commitment to technology and to healthcare that really makes this partnership work?
Well, first of all, we've partnered with or, attempted to partner with, a variety of different sort of big players in the healthcare space, for the last bunch of years. And I think every, health tech entrepreneur will identify with this, but it normally just is awful. It's normally just an awful experience. It never really goes well. And I have to say that the exact opposite is true with our relationship with Bayer. We have alignment from the top, all the way through every aspect of everything that we're doing. We have 100% alignment in vision, in approach, in tactics. And so when you get into the sausage making, it's not always going to be easy, but it certainly is guided by, a very clear and common set of agreed upon principles in what we're trying to accomplish. And so, from my perspective, this is, I think, among, if not the best partnership of my entire career, because we've got, a very strong partner in Bayer that is trying to accomplish the same things that we are. Jeanne, I don't know if you disagree, but.
Let's hope not.
So, it's something where I was in another company before that tried to come to this kind of partnerships. It did not really work out super well. I think, it all starts with pharma being self-aware of how we think and how we see the world. And also accepting that if you want to go into the world of digital and in really look at integrated care, you need to stop slicing things into diseases and therapeutic areas, but really consider the individual. You also need to stretch yourself in terms of thinking permanently to enter the world of digital and enter the world of, okay, no, not everything is going to be process oriented and shaped like we do for drugs. We need to be more agile, we need to communicate differently, but we also need to make the effort to bring what it takes to the table. So that's a permanent adjustment. It was a bit complicated in the beginning, but we both entered that, I would say, partnership with a fully informed consent and saying that we knew it was not going to be always a walk in the park. But no, we are progressing. So we are getting much better at it. And it also means that, okay, going into digital health means you accept to enter a field where there are no pre-existing analogs on which you can forecast, reforecast, and repredict and get into, the traditional strategic planning of a pharma company. It has to be admitted as innovation, as also looking at new fields, new pools of value. And that's also how we came to the conclusion that we needed to keep that outside of the mainstream. So the group on the buyer side working on that is living in a bit of special universe and is not competing with the other brands or other activities and investments in R&D or in market brands. It's separated to allow that chemistry to work between the two sides and the risk taking you've got in trying to define new markets.
I think that's fascinating. And I think, we've seen some of the other, the other deals that Bayer has made through other sites, Bayer Leaps, and we've seen some of the other companies that you've partnered with. I'm so curious. I love what you said about just the pharma self-awareness. I think that is a line that you should trademark, I think, and then teach counseling classes in this. I feel like there's something here. But I also love what you said about, really recognizing that it's not going to follow the shape of drug development. And so I'm curious on your side, if you could say maybe a little bit more about, Bayer's strategy in digital, whether it's, working with a precision health company like OneDrop, or if it's even on the digital therapeutics or prescription digital therapeutics. We in my world spend a lot of time talking about what's pharma going to do and around the pill, above the pill, beyond the pill. I'm curious about, while I have you here, if I can get a little bit of insight, because I think even just explaining, there's a lot to be learned in your communication about this partnership with Jeff and with OneDrop. So already I feel like I have a sense of like, oh my gosh, this makes sense why this is working. But I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit more in terms of the strategic or the vision from the pharma standpoint, from Bayer's standpoint, in terms of how you see technology wrapping in it and changing the way that your company does business in the future.
You're talking about what the digital disruption can bring to pharma. And for the moment, what I've seen a lot previously is pharma trying to rein in and anticipate the disruption. And it doesn't work like that, because basically it's just the disruption wants to disrupt. Okay, and I'm always sometimes extremely confused myself with beyond the pill, above the pill, and plus pill, plus pill. It's just, it's more like whether you're looking at the traditional pharma business, whether you're looking at that, the question is not finding funny names or interesting names to what you do. The real question is, what is the value you're trying to create and for whom? So basically the view of integrated care and working on a person-centric digital health platform is how you're going to bring in a value to the end user. How are you going to bring value to the person trying to make his or her life better, trying to manage the disease and health better. The first thing that the patient wants to do is to stop being a patient. We need to keep that in mind. So if you can minimize the impact of the disease on your life, if you can minimize the impact because you are more in a preventive approach, or you're minimizing the time you lose and increasing the benefit you get, there you win. That you've got a real value proposition. And that value proposition is something that also you can propose to the people in the system who are paying for it. So that's for the digital health and the integrated care. The integrated care is nothing else than finding the right technologies to really help any one of us to have a better experience of health and disease, and really trying to make it more acceptable, more integrated in your life. If you just come with top-down recommendations on people, sometimes they can follow, sometimes they cannot follow, for a variety of reasons. If the people don't do it, it's just not because they want to frustrate their physicians. It's because there is something that does not fit with their life. And the digital health is there to make it more fittable with your life, more applicable. Mm-hmm. Now, there are other areas of digital health where we can think about creating value. There are different investments, and that were made through LEAPS or through different investment vehicles. Now, more looking into different areas. Very interestingly, for example, the Digital Clinical Research Organization is something we are thinking about and discussing with another partner. And
you'll have to come back.
Yeah, and we are thinking about there is value in helping the industry being better at what it does.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there is certain amount of money that could be better used and more efficiently used if we were adopting more performing technologies or more modern technologies. There are some value pools also in the chain between the payers and us, and between the different providers. You can think about and try to challenge and see what there. We have different bets we are placing. Our core strategy and core working pillar for digital health is with one drop, but we are still placing some other bets because I think there are other value pools we could think about disrupting a bit.
Absolutely. Okay. So
go ahead. You were just at the health conference, right? Mm-hmm. And you've been doing this for a long time.
Yes.
And for the most part, you probably see the same thing that I do, which is everybody talks about how busted healthcare is, and yet people keep showing up with the same incremental sort of barely move the needle improvement stuff that doesn't really change anything. We're spending $3.1 trillion a year on chronic care every single year in the US and achieving basically negative results. Like, how can you look at an industry that has never really adopted the convenience, the affordability, the accessibility, and the power of digital technologies and say that there's not, that you can only really think about incremental improvement to the same system that already isn't working? So together with Bayer, we're really thinking about how does precision health, revolutionize aspects of chronic care. How can we bring affordability, accessibility, convenience, and sort of the power of digital, to helping people the 8,759 hours a year, that they're not at the doctor's office. And so really it's about thinking about things in different ways. And I think, together with Bayer, we really are approaching things, in novel ways. This program, as an example, this cardiovascular prevention program, uses data science to help people assess their risk scores. It allows them to automatically track multiple things like food, medications, activity, glucose, et cetera. It also uses behavior science to customize the educational content to the individual. It also provides a simplified, trend analysis and one-on-one coaching with a registered, specialist. And then it's also providing, all of the AI-powered, biometric predictions, that we're delivering to our other programs. And so, thinking about things in different ways. You can't come at the problem with incremental improvements to the existing system and expect there to be any better outcomes. We're thinking about it in different ways.
I love that. And I want to double click real quick here for a second on this. And I want to, not only on the co-development side of this partnership relationship that we've been talking about almost exclusively here, it's just, how this came to be, how strategically you're aligned. But let's talk about, like, even Jeff, what you said about, like, how do you make this accessible and affordable? I mean, Bayer is like one of the most, I guess, beloved, trusted consumer health brands in the world. And you guys, I mean, you go to market right now, you have a mix of go-to-market channels. I mean, you guys have some great relationships with some big retailers here in the US. You're working the employer market, but, like, what is the potential if we unlock the consumer distribution power over there? If we dive into the commercial innovation side of things, and we also, take one drop and, like, I mean, I just think to myself, like, that's one of the really exciting parts about this, is not only on the back end, the development side, but also on the go-to-market side. Like, what's happening there? Can you guys talk to us at all about that?
Sure, I'll speak a little bit to it. We don't share a lot there. Obviously Bayer has one of the best worldwide distribution platforms in terms of both market access, as well as HCP networks, as well as consumer distribution. If you go into any pharmacy or any drugstore, a huge portion of the shelf space is really owned by Bayer. And so when we think about what we're doing with precision health in terms of affordability, accessibility, consumerized experiences, of course, one of the things we think about is how can we leverage each company's strengths, in categories.
And it's the advantage I see also in the collaboration is that, of course, we've got to focus on the US market to start with. Mm-hmm. But what we can bring into the discussion is also this delicate understanding of the horrible complexity of a place like Europe, for example, and try to understand how you're going to reach out, because you're not in the same market dynamic, the same willingness to self-pay or whatever, when you're actually on the other side of the pond. And it's all that we are really putting together and trying to develop our strategy. And I think it's extremely important that we make things accessible and to people so they can really stick with it. And that's part of our discussions. Of course, nothing is simple, and that's where we see that the dynamic between the consumer, between the pharma side, and how we can reach out to the different stakeholders is really making that exploration very, very interesting and promising.
All right, last thing for the both of you. All right, so what can you leave us with in terms of a what's next? And I know that you probably can't say too much, but Jeff, I love that sensor that I keep hearing about, and the whole concept of precision health, which is very cool. And then, Bayer is over there being Bayer. So what can you guys leave us with? I mean, this was a multi-year, multi-condition, multi-therapeutic area deal.
Yeah, I mean, our precision health platform, we're centered on the continued expansion into multiple therapeutic areas. We're excited, to have Bayer's support in doing so. The life-altering potential of our programs and prevention modules wouldn't be possible without the deep expertise that Bayer's bringing to the table. And as we move forward, putting a lab on everybody's arm, giving them access to information that they can take action on, and doing so with the support of educational content, coaching, and other digital experiences that allow them to make choices all of the time that they're not at the doctor's office, to us really starts the journey of empowering people to take control of their health. And if you rely on, sort of this inefficient, ineffective healthcare system to deliver the care to achieve the kind of results that we've been seeing decade after decade after decade in chronic care, like, I just don't think, you get there. And so precision health is really the way to go. And we're really excited about it.
And on my side, think about precision health. Think about, what is going to happen when you start to put, as Jeff is saying, a lab on the arm of people?
Oh, I heard that.
And only already by having this continuous engagement of people. Think about it. For centuries, we have been describing diseases with very discrete and distant interaction points.
Mm-hmm.
You go to the hospital, you go to see the doctor, and it's how we describe diseases, with those discrete interaction points. Every month, third month, 6 months, every year, second year, what's happening in the meantime? All of a sudden, you're starting to, already today, with all the data gathered through the platform, and even more tomorrow when we talk about the sensorized health. I mean, basically, you're going to the definition of the first video game called Pong to the modern video games. It means you're changing the dimension of the number of pixels that you have now to describe what is health and what is disease.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful analogy. I love that.
And it's going to change also the way we really do understand the disease. Think about what already, in oncology, the molecular era brought on the table, completely redefining cancer subtypes in many more subtypes, subdiseases.
Mm-hmm.
There are many conditions for which we don't have access to that redefinition. And I really hope that, integrating the more continuous data, more also continuous interactions, and all those pixels will finally be able to also see the nuances. And by the nuances, that's where you're going to provide the best help and the best care.
I'm excited. You guys make me very excited about what's coming down the pike. I always feel like there's something you're not telling me, but I can't wait to see what it is. And it's always very inspiring to hear your strategy too. So thank you so much for stopping by. This is a huge milestone, you two. Congratulations, and congratulations to both of your teams for being able to deliver on this. I mean, it's not often that I can say I read a press release that's like, there are developmental milestones, and it's like, we'll never hear about this again. And no, here we are. Not only are we hearing about it, we're checking one off. So congratulations again to the two of you. And thank you so much for stopping by and for sharing a bit about your partnership. I think this is one of those relationships that everybody wanted to hear about. So thank you so much for being so candid.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity to discuss with you.
No, thank you. Come back anytime.
All right.
All right, guys. That was Jeanne Kehren. She is the CIO and head of digital and commercial innovation at Bayer Pharmaceuticals, and Jeff Dachis, the CEO and founder of OneDrop. Thank you both again. I'm Jessica DeMassa. For more with the who's who of health tech as they're changing the way that we do healthcare, please check out my YouTube channel and hit subscribe. It's over there at youtube.com/WTF Health. We'll talk to you both soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.